Waheguru Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ki Fateh. My name is Gursat Singh. And as many of you may know, I was with this Yogi Bhajan tantric Kundalini yoga cult for some 30 years or so, until I started meeting traditional Sikhs and understanding what true Sikhi was about, and understanding and reading the Sikh Rehat Maryada. Now, sadly, the leadership council for Yogi Bhajan's organizations, called the Khalsa Council, met this past weekend. And they have passed a resolution to welcome same-sex marriages in their events and their Gurdwaras. Now, this is completely the antithesis of Sikh teachings and Gurbani. And it shows me how the 3HO Yogi Bhajan people do not care at all for the sympathies of traditional Sikhs. They are just violating the Sikh Rehat Maryada with impunity, the way it appears. And it's very sad to see. I always knew that there was a lot of racism and a lot of just disdain for the traditional values held by Sikhs around the world. Now, this group, if you don't know about it, 3HO and Yogi Bhajan's group, is actually a pretty small organization in terms of numbers. Only numbers maybe about, I'd say, a couple thousand, 2,000 maybe at the most. Whereas of course, the worldwide Sikh population numbers in the millions. And the values and principles held by the vast majority of Sikhs states that same-sex marriages are not allowed in Sikh weddings. Now, the Sikh wedding is called the Anand Karaj, and this is done by circumnavigating the Siri Guru Granth Sahib Ji, and it's done in a Gurdwara. And so what these 3HO people are resolving here in this resolution is that they will allow and welcome these same-sex marriages between a man and a man, and a woman and a woman. It's, like I said, it's completely against the Sikh Rehat Maryada, and it's also against Gurmat, which is the teachings of the Sikh Gurus, and it is against the Jathedars at the Akal Takht. Now you can see here, this is the resolution, and I'll enlarge it here. You can see here where I've highlighted where it says, it talks about the Anand Karaj and the Sikh wedding ceremony. Now, my understanding is that at this meeting, it was Saturday when the resolution was passed, and all of the leaders in the 3HO and Sikh Dharma community spoke in favor of passing this resolution. That's my understanding from what I heard from a very reliable source who attended this meeting. It was a Zoom meeting. So there's many organizations within this Yogi Bhajan group. 3HO is one of them, and stands for a healthy, happy, holy organization. Anyway, so you can see here that this has been a long time in coming. This was a post that was made maybe 6-7 months ago on Instagram by 3HO. And now I want to point out how all of these organizations within these this Yogi Bhajan empire, if you will, are tied together. And this is important for Sikhs to realize that they all work hand in glove together. So this Khalsa Council, like I said, it's very presumptuous, we'll say, of them to say it's the Khalsa Council to begin with, because you will never find any traditional Sikhs who are a member of this Khalsa Council. It is only made up of Yogi Bhajan followers and those who have pledged allegiance to Yogi Bhajan. And then this Khalsa Council makes decisions and pass them down to these different organizations. There's also another organization called the Sri Singh Sabh Corporation, which makes more administrative decisions, I believe. So you can see here in this picture how the leaders there work together. They called this a synergy meeting of 3HO and some of the other organizations like SikhNet and the Kundalini Research Institute. So reading here, it says, our first synergy meeting, including representatives from Yogi Bhajan's legacy organizations, including Miri-piri Academy, SikhNet, Kundalini Research Institute, and 3HO, and the White Tantric Yoga here. You can see in this, and it says we are discussing ways to serve the teachings and unity. And they're speaking of the teachings of Yogi Bhajan. So for Sikhs, this is important because there's a lot of people who donate thousands of dollars, a lot of Sikhs who donate thousands of dollars to SikhNet and this Sikh Dharma International, thinking that it's a Sikh based organization. Well, this is proof now that SikhNet and these other Yogi Bhajan organizations are violating the Sikh Rehat Maryada, and they're completely going against Sikh teachings having to do with the Anand Karaj by allowing and welcoming these same-sex marriages. And you can see here I put arrows on over the heads of this Guru Singh and Gurmustic, who work with SikhNet. Now, my understanding is that Gurmustic has taken a leave of absence for unknown reasons. It's probably because, I'm just speculating here, but he said on his Facebook page that he's been having a very rough time and that he's taking a well-deserved rest, he says. And Guru Singh is retired from SikhNet now for the last few months. I don't know why he did that. But there's been a lot of heat coming down on them for the exposure of these abuses Yogi Bhajan did to his students. And many of you have probably read about this. And so there's been a lot of heat coming down on SikhNet and 3HO and these other Yogi Bhajan organizations because of the many accounts of abuse by Yogi Bhajan, sexual abuse and physical and financial abuse, spiritual abuse, where it's been shown that Yogi Bhajan has lied about many things. I am really angry myself about how Yogi Bhajan lied to me and other people about Sikh teachings when he was really twisting Gurbani and twisting Sikhi in order to fit his Tantric and Kundalini Yoga. And we'll talk more about that as well. But I want to make sure that people are clear about how all of these Yogi Bhajan organizations are tied together and they work together. Here's just a collage of the different logos. And you can see here Sikh Dharma International, and then SikhNet, and then 3HO. And then there's also the Kundalini Research Institute, which handles the Kundalini Yoga. Now, I also want to point out that my source has told me that during attending this meeting that, like I said, the interim CEO of SikhNet, this Ekon Karkar, spoke in favor of the resolution to allow same-sex marriages. And it was apparent to this person that I talked to that the leadership, including this Ekon Karkar and Garuka Singh and some of the other people who spoke for the resolution, were really interested in catering to the Kundalini Yoga students, so that they wouldn't lose their support and their money, basically, because there's a lot of income that comes in from these Kundalini Yoga students. And these students are not into Sikhi. They have their own agendas about being PC and following the current trends, which is to allow these same-sex marriages. So as Sikhs, though, we follow the Sikh Rehat Maryada and we follow Gurbani. It doesn't matter what the outside world, the Manmat leaders or people that are in the media are preaching. As Sikhs, we follow Gurbani no matter what. It's true now, and it will forever be true. The teachings of Gurmat, and the teachings of Gurmat are clearly against same-sex marriages. And that's what I intend to follow. And I want to make very clear in this video that I am against these same-sex marriages in Sikh Gurdwaras. I want to make clear that I don't hate people that prescribe to having same-sex relationships. I don't hate them. They have a perfect right to do that. It's not illegal or anything, but it is not a place. It doesn't have a place in Sikhi. It doesn't have a place in the Anand Karaj ceremony, which is clearly should be between a man and a woman who are Sikhs. And the Sikh gurus never talked about same-sex marriages. It was always between a man and a woman marriages. So I want to be perfectly clear about that. Now, I also want to point out here how these organizations make grants to each other. And this is this is a report from one of their Khalsa Council meetings, and want to show how there's a section here that shows how they have granted hundreds of thousands of dollars, couple $1 million to these different organizations, the SikhNet and this 3HO. So this shows me how they are all working together like hand in glove. Here it is here. It says the grants distributed to the nonprofits are given below. And you can see $2 million in grants. This was just for 1 year. And then I'm not sure what LYF is. They have all these acronyms for different organizations. Then SDEI is Sikh Dharma International, 306,000, 320,000 here and there. 3HO 144,000. KRI is Kundalini Research Institute 255. SikhNet 121,000. 3HO Europe 64,000. ethics and professional standards, 26,000 legacy salaries. That's Yogi Bhajan's legacy salaries, 368,000. So this proves how all these organizations work together, and they don't need the donations from Sikhs, and not only that, all their donations are pooled, so then they distribute them. And so I think Sikhs should really think twice about donating to SikhNet and supporting SikhNet. So here again, I want to point out how SikhNet supports these Yogi Bhajan un-Sikh-like practices, the tantric yoga, which you can see a picture of a couple engaging in this tantric yoga here. And clearly one is not even a Sikh, and they're touching, and they're really, like I said, the Yogi Bhajan people are just flouting their anti-Sikh practices with impunity, and just thumbing their nose at the Akal Takht and to traditional Sikhs. Now, how long are we going to put up with this? The Akal Takht should step in immediately and take decisive measures to sanction or excommunicate these people. And then people who are supporting SikhNet should stop supporting SikhNet. I've reported many times how the leadership over there at SikhNet has been supporting dancing to Gurbani. There was this shameful video that Guru Singh produced a few years back, where he is actually saying it's okay to dance to Gurbani, and that it's just up to it's just a judgment on people's part that you shouldn't dance like that. Anyway, I've made many videos about that, and then also how idol worship, Murti Puja, is supported by Guru Singh, who at least was the CEO and the CIO, Chief Inspirational Officer for SikhNet for many, many years. And he's still evidently proselytizing and pushing his Yogi Bhajan agendas out there. So now with this resolution being passed of welcoming same-sex marriages in 3HO and in their Sikh Dharma Gurdwaras, I think it's about time Sikhs boycott SikhNet, boycott anything to do with these Yogi Bhajan people. And if the Jathedars do in fact excommunicate these people, we really don't want to have any kind of association with them at all as Sikhs. Now, I will say that I expect in the next few days to see another resolution of this same narrative about the support or welcoming of same-sex marriages in 3HO. I expect that to be coming from their other organizations. I haven't actually seen the document yet, but that will be coming according to this source that I have. But for now, they've put this out there. 3HO has published the resolution. You saw it there when I started the video. And I expect that the resolutions will be coming from the other organization, other Yogi Bhajan organizations soon. They may be trying to put a kind of a smokescreen up by putting the 3HO one out first, because they claim that it's the non-religious part of their organization. But you can clearly see that they mention Sikh weddings and the Anand Karaj in that resolution. And don't let them fool you. They all work together. I showed you that synergy meeting picture with all of the organizations working together and to promote, as they say, the teachings of Yogi Bhajan, which are completely against Sikhi. And again, we'll go into much more detail about why that is and how their agenda is really to subsume Sikhi into Yogi Bhajan's teachings, subsume Yogi Bhajan's teachings into Sikhi, and just basically take over the leadership of Sikhi around the world. Now, I will say that when I was in 3HO, there was definitely the idea, if you will, the platform, if you will, that us white Sikhs would rule the world, in essence, and control all of Sikhi. That was really the narrative that was put forth. And this really shows, I think, the passing of this resolution without any kind of acknowledgement, if you will, of the traditional values of Sikhs, the traditional sympathies of Sikhs, that these 3HO people, these Yogi Bhajan people, do not care about the sympathies of traditional Sikhs. They just went ahead and passed this resolution without even considering what traditional Sikhs would think. All they're concerned about is keeping the dollars flowing from their yoga students who are just catering and trying to align with the public fads, if you will. And let there be no doubt about it. This whole idea of same-sex marriages is just a fad. It's not part of Sikhi. It's completely against the Sikh teachings, and it will eventually pass. And when these 3HO people realize that they are, forsaking the teachings of the Sikh gurus, they will be lost. They will be lost without Gurmat and without Gurbani and following correct Sikh principles. I see them as just these 3HO people as being just very elitist and not caring for, like I said, the Sri Guru Granth Sahib, which is the supreme word of the Sikhs, and not caring for the hundreds of years of writings and teaching of Sikh scholars, historians, Sikhs that have given their lives to stand for righteousness and to stand for true Sikh values. These 3HO people have no care for that at all. They have no idea about what it means to be a Sikh, to give your life or to stand up for the Sikh ideals. Now, I found this very good website, and I want to recommend it to everybody, that describes why same-sex marriages are against Gurmat. They're against Gurbani. And I won't read the entire thing, but I'll kind of scroll through this so that you see. But basically, it says here, and we see that Gurbani declares that a woman looks suitable with her husband, not with a boyfriend, not with another woman, but with her husband. context here is between soul bride and God, husband, but still the relationship structure is male and female. Gurbani uses husband and wife relationship to describe relationship between God and soul because Guruji accepted and validated that relationship. We don't see male and male, female and female relationship anywhere unless it is used for siblings or mother, daughter, or father, son or brothers. None of those relationships are sexual. For a Sikh, this explanation should be enough. It says here, but a self-willed person may need some more examples. It gives many examples in Gurbani, how it's always talking about a man and a woman, relationships between a man and a woman. There's never the talk about man and a man, a woman and a woman having any kind of relationship like that. I'll read this here. It says, upon seeing her husband, a woman is delighted. Similarly, a God's devotee lives to contemplate on God's name. Once again, Guruji gives us the example of husband-wife relation, as that is what Guruji accepts. Husband, male, and wife equals female. And even the words are masculine and feminine. Bharta is a masculine word and Nadi is a feminine word. Their meanings are also gender specific. So these Yogi Bhajan people are twisting and manipulating Gurbani in order to fit their PC kind of ideas and trying to get the money from these yoga students and their support. Next example says, when she is a virgin, there is joy to get married. But when married, there are stresses and worries. Farid, regretfully, that time of life, virginity will not return. Once again, Gurbani enforces that we are to remain virgins until marriage. There are no two ways around this. Unfortunately, media pushes us to do otherwise. The blind man forsakes his own wife and indulges with women he is not married to. Here again, Gurbani is speaking about husband and wife relationship as the accepted relationship, not man and man, not husband and husband, no wife and wife, not sexual relationships outside of marriage. It is very clear to those who will read with an open mind. However, those with cunning and corrupt minds will ignore this quote as well, just like they ignore hundreds of other quotes about other matters. And then it says here, what does Gurbani say? It says about men having sex with each other. Gurbani rejects sexual relationship between men by declaring it badafli, meaning immoral behavior. Gurbani says, consuming and consuming, one who indulges in sodomy and other immoral actions to be considered living in a poisonous ward. One who forgets the company of saints and indulges in immoral activity with fallen ones, such a person has wasted his precious body in ignorance. Such a person has uprooted himself. I'm just going to reduce or turn off the video on me here so that you can read this better. And here we go. Next example says, one who indulges in immoral sexual intercourse and hiding and doesn't understand that God is always watching, considers such person as crazy, as such person doesn't know himself. If actions such as sodomy and sexual relations outside of marriage aren't immoral sexual behavior, what is? Bestiality, sure, but how many indulged in that for Guru Sahib to write multiple quotes about? Basically, Guru Sahib only wrote about prevalent issues that people needed guidance about. You will see nothing specifically mentioning bestiality. It doesn't mean it is accepted, but it is so low that it isn't even worth mentioning. But Bad Fali covers all such immoral actions. Now, these are some of the arguments that the people who support same-sex relations will put forth. They'll say, we are in modern times, so what is wrong with LGBTQ relations? And this author says, regardless of modern or ancient times, what is wrong as per Gurmat is wrong. It was wrong 4,000 years ago, it is wrong now, and will remain wrong 4,000 years from now. Guru's teachings are good until the world ends. Gurbani says, the true Guru's word is the true striking beauty. Become like Gurbani. Gurbani doesn't change with times, and if we are to become like Gurbani, we are to follow Gurbani. Becoming like Gurbani isn't doing whatever you want. And this is important. I think that if there was anything that I learned from being around 3HO people and Yogi Bhajan people is that they did whatever they felt, that whatever felt good to them, basically. And that's the kind of the new age dictum, if you will. Do what feels good to you. If it feels right to you, then it's okay to do it. But that's not what we do as Sikhs. We follow Gurbani, we follow the Sikh Rehat Maryada. There are rules in Sikhi. And that's how you live a happy life, is by following rules, not just following how you feel and what feels good to you. Now, I agree with 95% of what this author says. So I want to be clear about that. If this, this is another argument that some of these Monmuts will make for same-sex relations. If the soul has no gender, why not allow two men to marry? Who said physical marriage is between two souls? If it is between two souls, then when these two souls don't get along, why do they end up in divorce? Marriage is a bond between two people and two families. It is more physical than between souls. Anyone who thinks marriage is between two souls is the greatest liar and fraudulent person there is on the planet. If marriage is between two souls, then why not get married to anyone your parents choose for you? After all souls are the same, and only differences are the actions due to 5 vices, and that is what leads to the soul being on or off track. Also, soul gets married to husband, lord, and that is what the target is. People would know if they had any basic knowledge of Gurmat. If someone doesn't know this, then the person doesn't know the basics of Sikh faith. Gurbani says, "Oh, my father, I have been married. Being Guru-oriented, I have attained God." We see in above quote that it speaks about getting married to God. This is the marriage of the soul. Body marries body, child comes from body, and not soul. Child has its own soul. From a woman, man is born. From woman, a man receives nourishment. To a woman, man is engaged to be married. Once again, Gurbani quote above clearly mentions that a man marries a woman. There is no indication that a man marries a man or a woman marries a woman. Now he says here, by the way, animals have a soul too. Will we now allow people to marry goats, marry dogs and cats? This nonsense has to end. Stupid governments keep caving into these liberals who are always against guns, saying they cause violence, but say nothing against sexual perversions. And I want to point out here that I am definitely a big advocate of carrying weapons for self-defense. I had a concealed weapons license when I was living in the United States, and when I moved back there, I plan to get another one. And I have quite a few handguns and rifles, and will be training again and teaching others in self-defense. So for all of those people who are interested, please write me, and I will be happy to help train you in self-defense with firearms. I think every Sikh should be carrying a handgun, and where legal, attain a concealed weapons license. And most states in the United States allow you to either carry a handgun with open carry or get a concealed weapons license. And this is one of these PC things now that has, I think, really destroyed society, that people are afraid of guns and that they think that the guns do violence, but it's the people who are not trained and who not conscious with the way they use weapons that cause the violence, not the guns. So this author goes on to say about if gay relations are allowed, then all weapons should be allowed as well. Sexual desire is just as bad as anger in religious and spiritual terms, if not worse. But anger is hated upon while sexual desire is promoted. Why? Is it because the world is run by perverts who have lived immoral lives? And let's be very clear. This idea of having of the same sex having relations is a perversion. There's no question about it. And it's unnatural and certainly does not have a place in Sikhi nor in the Sikh Anand Karaj. Is it because these people can't control their sexual feeling? They should stop talking, and I won't say that, but you can read it, about God not existing and start following a proper religion. Now, here's another argument that the same-sex relation people will make. It is someone's path to Sikhi, so why can't someone do whatever someone wants? And this is exactly to this point I was talking about, where nowadays it's so PC for people to in vogue, if you will, or acceptable, that people just do whatever they think feels good to them. So this author is saying, whoever said that it is someone's own path to Sikhi is nothing short of an illiterate fool. Why? It is because path doesn't belong to a person, but God. For Bani says, one who educates me about the path of God, I will fall at such person's feet. Any other path is demonic path of vice, as Gurbani says. I have been fortunate to have found true Guru who has destroyed the demonic path. Following self-will, who has found contentment. Blind keeps indulging in blindness. So if you follow your self-will, you're going to end up in the hell. And I can't emphasize this enough. How people think that most people follow this path of Manmat, where they just follow their feelings. And we as humans really don't know what's good for us, and especially when we're younger and don't have life experiences. I see many young people who just are so arrogant and so full of pride. It really hurts and is very sad to see. And that's why I feel so blessed that Guruji directed me to meet traditional Sikhs and elder Sikhs who were scholars and really led me in the true path, so that I wasn't blind. And but like I said, if you follow your own desires, your own feelings, you're going to end up unhappy, basically. All right, so he says here, this author, when animals have been known to be homosexuals, why not humans? And that's the argument, again, from the same-sex relationship people. And he makes this point about how physically, humans are made with by God as a male and a female, with male sexual organs and female sexual organs. He says here, first of all, they are animals, uncivilized. They aren't humans. They aren't expected to be spiritually wise like humans. Animals don't wear clothing. Should we discard clothing? Animals don't have a police force or military or borders. Animals don't have governments. Animals don't have laws or regulations. Animals don't go to court over race or sexual harassment. Animals don't pay income tax. Animals don't have religious centers, etc., etc. Also, is an animal's reproductive system the same as human reproductive system? Is there one final exit? If the answer is no, then don't relay nonsense that animals do it so it is good. Natural and acceptable. People like to pick and choose what they want to follow from the animal world because they are dishonest. They do the same with their religion. They pick and choose which teachings to follow and which to eat, which not to. That's so true. And I see this with the Yogi Bhajan people. They pick and choose what they want to follow just because, it feels good to them or it's popular in society. Either follow or leave religion. There's no one holding a gun to anyone's head, forcing them to be part of a religion. So these people, these 3HO people, and these people who subscribe to these same-sex marriages, there's nothing keeping them part of the religion. They can just form their own religion and do whatever they want. But they shouldn't suck Sikhs into this anti-Sikh culture that they're trying to create. This is why Guru said to put head on palm if you want to be Sikh. This means give up your own selfish thinking and follow what Gurbani says. So I also want to point out that Waheguru, or God, has created many organisms that are hermaphrodite. That is, they have both male and female reproductive organs and can perform both the male and female parts of reproduction. But God did not create humans like this. So if God was going to create us to have relations of the same sex, then he would have created us as hermaphrodites. And in some of these animals, they start out as one sex and then switch to the other. Physically, their organs change to be from male to female or female to male. And they start out that way. But humans don't work like that. It's a choice that people are making if they want to be a different sex, or they're trying to have relations with the same sex. It's a choice. I don't buy into all this nonsense that they were born that way. God did not create them as hermaphrodites. So this is another argument that some of these same-sex marriage supporters make. They say, where does Gurbani say God is male? God isn't a male like a human male because God is formless. God doesn't have male organs. God is male in the sense that God is powerful and a force. God is male in the sense that God is the only one without woman. God is male in the sense God is emperor and under no one. God is male in the sense that God is our husband and we are brides who will go to husband. God is male in the sense that our soul is female and marries her husband, God. God is male because Gurmat doesn't accept same-sex marriages, and thus God is male and soul is female. Guru has used various terms used for husband and lord in many Gurbani quotes. Gurbani has not one mention of God being described as a female. Then why is everyone bent on trying to say God is not assigned gender in Gurbani? Guru could have said Kartapudiki instead of Kartapudik. Guru could have said Adpurk instead of Adpurki, but it didn't, because Guru considered God male and soul female. It is very clear if someone is honest. Problem is that West keeps interfering with religions, and then they wonder why crime is going up. Well, leave religions alone and people will be less angry. So again, this author is saying how the West is interfering with all this, and this is exactly what's happening with 3HO, these Western Sikhs. And then here's another argument. What does Sikh Rehat Maryada say? Sikh Rehat Maryada's Sikh Code of Conduct only mentions marriage between man and woman. Akal Takht issues statement regarding the LGBTQ situation and stated that marriage is only between man and woman in Sikh faith. See link below. You can go to that. There was a Hukamnama that was published, I think it was 2005, when the Jathedar of the Akal Takht clearly came out against same-sex marriages being performed in Sikh Gurdwaras, or the Anand Karaj. Gender and sex are not the same. This is an argument made by these same-sex relation people. Gender should be socially constructed, so male and female are just constructs. Therefore, why not allow gay marriages? This is a feminist and socialist theory that they made up. It is based on biology. It is not based on biology of Gurmat. If someone is having a mental or social or physical reason for having feeling that are different from what they should, it can't be accepted as normal. Gurbani doesn't accept this construct because it isn't based on Gurbani. It is made by humans to fit their agendas and to cover their flaws. It is just like legalization of alcohol, strip clubs, tobacco, etc. Those things are not accepted in Gurmat, but they exist and are legal. Gurmat is for those who want to follow Gurmat. It isn't for everyone. We can't bend Guru's teachings or Sikhi to accommodate what certain people want to their feelings. So yeah, you can be in a same-sex relationship, but you're not a Sikh and you're not following Gurmat if you do, and you certainly don't have a place in an Anand Karaj or in a Sikh Gurdwara. A Sikh can be trans or non-binary. That is due to all the media propaganda. We are Sikhs. We need to rise above the media propaganda that gay marriage is not wrong. It is 100% wrong, as mentioned in article. There is no history or record of any such event happening during times of the Gurus. Sikh is neither male or female. None others were brought into the Sikh fold. You can see them in India and they don't belong to a religion. They also don't ask to get married via Sikh principles or any other religion. They are respected for who they are, and they respect the religions. If they have lived without issue for centuries, why is this a big issue now? Sikh marriage is between biological male and female, as Gurbani states. So he goes on about why Sikh cannot be trans or non-binary. I'll let you read that. These are more arguments here against the same-sex marriage resolution and how Gurbani supports just marriage between a man and a woman. You can see here how the 3HO people are involved in many other un-Sikh-like activities. This same-sex marriage business in the Gurdwaras is just kind of I think, just the final straw. I've talked about these tantric yogas that are being performed there in the Yogi Bhajan community, and it's completely against Sikh teachings. You can see here how these people are engaged in completely un-Sikh-like activities, and it's just really shameful that SikhNet, who puts themselves out there to be a Sikh organization, is supporting this kind of debauchery. I'll just go through these slides quickly because I know many of you have watched my videos before and have seen a lot of these un-Sikh activities, but I want to point them out again so that when the Jathedars consider excommunicating these Yogi Bhajan people and consider sanctions or whatever, they will see these pictures, which tell 1,000 words basically about how the Yogi Bhajan people are violating the Sikh Rehat Maryada every day. Here you can see how they're bowing and prostrating in front of Yogi Bhajan's death place, this dome, where evidently, according to many accounts, he committed many criminal acts of sexual abuse and just horrendous perversions, if you will. And these Yogi Bhajan people just worship Yogi Bhajan like a guru. Here you can see on the right, they've created this huge bronze murti, or idol of Yogi Bhajan. And no doubt they're worshiping that and carrying on. I guess it's located near this dome where Yogi Bhajan died. I also want to point out how Guru Gobind Singh Ji told us never to worship at the graves of the dead. They do that, these Yogi Bhajan people. So I hope the Akal Takht takes action on this. And I intend to go down there myself to Espanola. I have a house there, and I'm going to protest, and I'm going to engage these Yogi Bhajan people and try to do some ambush reporting, if you will, and try to interview them and find out just what their position is and why their positions are on these different un-Sikh-like and activities and practice and violations of the Sikh Rehat Maryada. You can see here Yogi Bhajan in this luxurious mink coat. He didn't care about animal rights. And then here's with his female staff members, who some are giving accounts of how he raped them. Later in this video, I have made screenshots of a manuscript that was sent out by one of Yogi Bhajan's staff members, female staff members. And she talks about there how she was raped, and Yogi Bhajan told her to cut her pubic hairs, and it's just really awful. It's just hard to even talk about. Anyway, these Yogi Bhajan people, they need to be taken to task and need to be taken before the Akal Takht and summoned before the Akal Takht. And they need to be made accountable for their actions. Now, you can see here, this is Yogi Bhajan sitting in a big chair, and there's a story that Guru Singh published about how he took Yogi Bhajan's fingernails and used them in a magic talisman for power, and then he put them in his Yogi Bhajan's fingernails and put them in his Gutka Sahib, in his sacred Nitnam. This is the book of prayers, Sikh prayers, and Gurbani that all Sikhs read every day. And Guru Singh, who was this is him with his wife, published this shameful article in 3HO's newsletter. And he talked about how he used these fingernails from Yogi Bhajan, and like I said, just committed a beadbi against Gurbani by putting them in. It's just shameful. And it shows me how these Yogi Bhajan people are just completely if you will, taken into this cult of Yogi Bhajan. Yogi Bhajan was very manipulative. I know that from my experience with neuro-linguistic programming, Yogi Bhajan used this to hypnotize people. And I think that these people like Garuka and these other people, or Mustik, and these other people are in the leadership positions there are just under this spell of Yogi Bhajan, this tantric spell somehow. So here Yogi Bhajan, or the Garuka Singh explains in this article, he says, then he's talked about Yogi Bhajan, looked at me and extended the wrapped napkin to me saying, you want these, right? These are his fingernails. I replied, Garuka Singh replied, in the affirmative. He smiled and said, they will give you a lot of power and protect you. I took the folded napkin gratefully and thanked him. Later, when I looked at the 10 perfect crescents, each nail looked as though it had been trimmed with a laser beam. And you see how he just glorifies these stupid fingernails of Yogi Bhajan. The cut edges were perfectly smooth and perfectly even, despite having been cut with a very dull toe clipper. Amazing. I kept the nail clippings in the napkin and placed them in my nitnam. That's a good kasab. So later he put them in he talks about, he put them in a locket around his neck, thinking that it would give it power and protection. And in fact, he fell off of a roof when he had these things on there. And he claims, oh, I would have been hurt worse, but he was hurt pretty badly, actually. Anyway, so I certainly don't think they gave him any protection. Gurbani is the only thing that will give you protection, not some stupid fingernails from Yogi Bhajan. So at the time, Garuka Singh was the founder and chief, well, he's still the founder of SikhNet, but he was the chief executive officer of SikhNet. And again, I want to encourage people that donate to SikhNet or they support SikhNet to reconsider your support. I encourage people to just boycott SikhNet until they make these changes and take away their support for these same-sex marriages in Gurdwaras and just drop all these Yogi Bhajan nonsense practices. So you can see here Garuka Singh with some other Yogi Bhajan followers meditating again and chanting, worshiping at Yogi Bhajan's dome. This is the dome here. And this is an idol or murti of this Baba Siri Chand, this golden idol. So they're worshiping here in violation of the Sikh Rehat Maryada, worshiping murtis and then worshiping of the graves of the dead. There's a picture of Garuka, and you'll notice this idol murti up here, just underneath where Garuka is worshiping. This person here, by the way, I have her face covered in this picture, but she's Ekon Karkar, and she's now and evidently the interim CEO of SikhNet. And she's a Yogi Bhajan supporter and supports this idea that the Sikh gurus were yogis. She says the proof of that is handed down in oral traditions. And it is so really ironic and funny that Yogi Bhajan is the sole oral tradition. Yogi Bhajan is, his word is a sole oral tradition of this yogic, this idea that the Sikh Gurus were yogis. Anyway, Sikh Gurus had nothing to do with yoga, but Yogi Bhajan twisted this idea and made it appear from his lies about history that the Guru Nanak practiced yoga, and that his son Baba Siri Chand was a yogi, and that Baba Siri Chand passed his yogic powers and traditions and practices on to Guru Ram Das Ji, which is complete nonsense. But the Yogi Bhajan people subscribed to this idea in order to give their teachings credibility with yoga students and make these teachings look like an ancient practice that was practiced by a major religion, the Sikh religion, which is completely a false narrative and a big lie. And I really pray that the Akal Takht comes down on these people and exposes them for what they are, and either excommunicates them or sanctions them until they change. I doubt that they will change, because it's all about money. They want to use this magical thinking of the Yogi Bhajans, and they want to create this narrative that makes money for them, a narrative that makes their secrets look unique, their yogic traditions look like there's a lineage of thousands of years and all of this. It's just ludicrous. Has nothing to do with Sikhi, and all they're trying to do is make money out of it. Now, this person here is Gurdwara Singh. He was the head of the Kundalini Research Institute. I think he's now retired. I know he had an income, according to the nonprofit tax return reports, that was around 90,000, I think, a year. So these people, they make good money. Garuka had a salary with SikhNet at one time. I saw about 65,000, and Gurmustic had an income of 90,000 per year, which is pretty hefty for a small nonprofit organization. So they're all making money off of this thing. Now you can see here, this is another shot of this is an Espanola at what they call the ranch, where Yogi Bhajan had this dome, and you can see here how they're all worshiping this picture of Yogi Bhajan, and Baba Siri Chand is there too. And then the dome, of course, where Yogi Bhajan died, is here. And then this is also under the scene of the crime, where, according to these accounts by these staffers, these female staffers of Yogi Bhajan, this is where Yogi Bhajan committed some really horrendous sexual perversion and rapes here inside that dome. And I lived in Espanola for some 16 years. I lived maybe just about 100 yards from that dome there. And it just really angers me that I would walk by that dome every day when I would go visit Gur Sahib at the Gurdwara. And to think that Yogi Bhajan was in there committing all these perversions and debauchery and rapes, it just sickens me to no end. And how I supported him, and I thought he was a spiritual leader and a Sikh. He was nothing more than a perverted rapist, really. So you can see here more of this Murti worship of Siri Chand, and how the Yogi Bhajan people carry on. This is located right there in front of the Gurdwara there in Espanola, and right at the entrance there. There's a couple of these Siri Chand Murtis, or idols, And so, Gurmastika says, oh, we don't worship idols. They had a whole video about it. And it's quite ironic that they say that. But here's proof of it. You don't put an idol there just to have something there. You put it there, an idol to worship. That's why you put it there. It's like a baseball bat. A baseball bat is used for baseball. Murti is used for worship. That's why. And so it shouldn't be at a Sikh Gurdwara. That's the end of it. So here I took this picture a couple of years ago. This is the same building there where that Murti is. And you can see that SikhNet's headquarters is right there. Just in the same building that where all of these Murtis are located and all of these violations of the Sikh Rehat Maryada are located. SikhNet is right there. So they're hand in glove with all these organizations. You can see them doing this Aquarian sadhana inside the Gurdwara. These are all things that the Jathedars need to expose and need to call out. They need to summon these Yogi Bhajan people and have them testify as to what they're doing and why they're doing it, and take action. There's no question that action needs to be taken. Here is another picture of this Aquarian sadhana. They do Hindu mantras in this Aquarian sadhana, and it's right inside the Gurdwara there in Espanola. Many of you have seen pictures of the inside of this Gurdwara, but you probably didn't know that they're carrying on like this and doing these yogas and chanting Hindu mantras in the what they call sadhana or Aquarian sadhana. And sadhana is clearly a Hindu practice. It doesn't have anything to do with Sikhi. Here's this Gurmukh. Many of you have seen her doing these Hindu pujas, and she's supported by SikhNet. This is in Rishikesh here. She goes there every year, a couple times a year, and she's the poster yogi for the Yogi Bhajan people. The bottom line is that they want the money, and you can see here how SikhNet has supported this Gurmukh. This was an article that was written about her and how she does these fire pujas all the time. She even had one at her Hollywood yoga studio. I went down there and protested in front of there and filmed that. You can watch it in the many videos that I have posted on YouTube. So again, all these organizations work hand in glove together, and you can see SikhNet's logo up there, how they're supporting her. Now, this is a book. This is from a book, I should say, that I read. This was around 2009, 2010. It was a real eye-opener for me and showed me how 3HO Yogi Bhajan people are violating the Sikh Rehat Maryada, how they're doing all of these un-Sikh-like practices. It's written by a Dr. Trilochan Singh, and he spent months with Yogi Bhajan in 1977. He is a Sikh scholar and historian who wrote many books about Sikhi. And so he was really disturbed about the many violations of SRM by Yogi Bhajan, and he wrote this book, and I highly recommend it to anybody who wants to read it. Here he's talking about the Khalsa insignia and its interpretation is accepted in Sikh history and tradition. You can see it there on the left, and then on the right you can see how Yogi Bhajan has twisted it and made it out with this Catholic Virgin Mary in the middle of it. And Yogi Bhajan called it the Adi Shakti. And there in Espanola, there's a huge mural in the Gurdwara. I'll show you some more pictures of it, but this is a really clear picture of it. You can see here how the Yogi Bhajan people have put Yogi Bhajan on an equal level with Guru Ram Das. This is supposed to be Guru Ram Das. they put the Sikh gurus as a rosary around this Catholic Virgin Mary and called it the Adi Shakti. And this all goes along with Yogi Bhajan's tantric yoga. And I believe firmly that Yogi Bhajan wanted to promote his Shiv Shakti agenda, his tantric yoga agenda. Now with all of these accounts coming out about how he raped his female students and how he performed these perverted sexual acts on his students, it shows how he wanted nothing more to create a Shakti cult, a cult around Tantra and sex. You can see here Hindu gods and goddesses up here in this Chandi riding on this tiger up here. This is in this mural. This is all in the Sikh Gurdwara there, and it needs to be taken down. And you can see here Guru Mustik from SikhNet, how he's worshiping there under this mural there, and with red arrows there. So he's involved. SikhNet headquarters are just right next to this mural. They're literally on the other side of the wall, the SikhNet headquarters there. Here's another shot of the Yogi Bhajan people meditating or worshiping there. Yogi Bhajan's tantric photo up here. You can see it. This was the photo, the infamous photo that he told all of us to meditate on. He called it Guru Yoga. And he told us to stare into the eyes, into his eyes. And I have clips of him actually saying this and directing people, commanding people to look at and stare into his eyes like this. This is a technique, a manipulation technique, a technique to get people hooked or indoctrinated into his Shakti Tantra cult. I'm really convinced of that now. So in this Gurdwara, Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji is over in this area. And so I'll show you some more pictures, maybe it will be clearer. So these are more twisting of Gurbani that Dr. Shalochan Singh points out, and how Yogi Bhajan relates it to this Shakti cult. And see who's put there this Chandi, goddess Chandi, riding on top of a lion. This is a Hindu god, Chandi. And then she's wearing this Sikh Khanda on top, and they call it the Adi Shakti. The Yogi Bhajan people call it the Adi Shakti, which is completely, it's nonsense, and a really sacrilegious use of the Sikh Khanda. So here, Dr. Shalochan Singh says, Yogi Bhajan and his followers, as taught by him, unashamedly used these verses Ashtang mantra to glorify Chandi, which is an insult to Guru Gobind Singh and his morning prayer, which is also one of the prayers used in baptism ceremony. In the first verse of Jap Sahib, Guru Gobind Singh is very clear that the whole of Jap is in praise of the Almighty and Infinite God, and a refutation of any belief in gods and goddesses. So as Sikhs, we believe in one God, not a bunch of gods and goddesses. That's not part of Sikhi. I'm not putting down Hindus here. They should, worship and practice their religion as the way they see fit, but it's not for Sikhs. And Yogi Bhajan was really a big fraud to try to introduce these Hindu practices into the Sikh religion. And like I said, I personally feel very angry that Yogi Bhajan lied to us and tried to subsume his Shiv Shakti practices into the Sikh religion. So Dr. Shalochan Singh says here, for Yogi Bhajan, the Khalsa symbol is now a jantra of his goddess Bhagavati, that is Chandi, and he unashamedly connects it with women and sex, with lust and perversion. These Mahatantric and perverted interpretations and distortions of the Khalsa symbols may suit Yogi Bhajan's dollar-catching postures, but it is the worst and most shameful condemnation of the ideals and principles of Guru Gobind Singh. This tantric cult, adopted as a bait to American craze for the miraculous and sensational, is the antithesis of Sikhism and condemned throughout the Sikh scriptures as Sakata Mat, creed of the Shakti cult. Sikhs are asked by the gurus in Adi Granth not to associate with such people and to run away from the very evil side of people who think and act like that. It is a standing shame to the whole Sikh community that all this tantric nonsense is being poured down the throat of an innocent American seekers of truth in the name of Sikhism. And this is being done by him after assuming the titles of Sri Singh Sahib, an unacknowledged authority over the Sikhs in the Western Hemisphere. So there's a lot being said in this paragraph that is very, very important. Dr. Shalochan Singh, I believe, saw what was coming. And he says that if this continues like this, all of this debauchery, which it did, you'll get more and more debauchery coming. And that's what's happening with the this resolution by 3HO and the Yogi Bhajan people of these same-sex, to allow these same-sex marriages. It's just a further extension of the debauchery, which Dr. Shalochan Singh saw coming. And it all has to do with sex and women, lust and perversion, he says here, Mahatantric and perverted interpretations of the distortions of the Khalsa symbols, all to suit Yogi Bhajan's dollar-catching postures. So all of this is being done. All of these welcoming, if you will, of the same-sex marriages, the tantric yogas, all of these magical thinkings are all done for this craze for money. For these 3HO people craze money and the sensational. They want sensational things, and it's a big craze for money. So he gives his conclusions here, Dr. Shalochan Singh. You can see again this close-up there, that mural there with the Chandi riding on the tiger. So this is the front of that Yogi Bhajan Dera, if you will. The Gurdwara is inside there, and you can see here how they've called it a mandir. This there, Mahakal Mandir, I think they're calling it. Mandir is a Hindu temple. Anyway, so you ask, what are we going to do about this, and what can we do? My plan, as I've mentioned before in other videos, is to go and live in Espanola, where this headquarters is for 3HO and the Sikh Dharma. I own a house in this area, just 100 yards or so from the Gurdwara and the Dera. 3HO headquarters, Sikh Dharma headquarters, SikhNet headquarters are all located here, just 100 yards from where I would be living. My wife and I would be living. And then I also own property over here, 2 1-acre pieces on the highway. And I would really like to do something in terms of creating a Sikh mission, something that would be a place where yoga students and other people who are interested in true Sikh teachings could come and visit and read and hear testimony from Sikhs like myself and others about true Sikhi. So my idea is to go there in August and, like I said, live there. I want to try to interview some of these people by either just standing out in front of the Gurdwara and I don't want to say ambush them as they come in, but to confront them when they come into the Gurdwara, into that area, and talk to them on video and make it available to everybody, the worldwide Sikh Sangat, so we can understand where they're coming from and what drives them either to support these same-sex marriage practices and other tantric practices. We need to get to the bottom of it and help them understand that all of these things are not part of Sikhi, that if they want to remain Sikhs and they want to be part of the worldwide Sikh Sangat, that they need to change. They need to drop all this Yogi Bhajan nonsense, all these tantras and, astrology they practice, these Hindu mantras they practice, murti worship and murti pujas and all of these things they need to drop. And I hope that, and pray, I pray with Guru Sahib's blessing that my wife and I can have some kind of effect with Guru Sahib's blessing. And I'd like to invite other Sikhs to come and join us, either just visiting and come there and live, and we can do this missionary work, if you will, together. I don't look at this as proselytizing. I look at this as a way of reconnecting, if you will, with the community where I lived. I lived here for 16 years. I was in the Yogi Bhajan cult for some 30 years. And I feel very betrayed by Yogi Bhajan, if you will, very misled, deceived. And even when I left 3HO, left Yogi Bhajan organizations in 2009 or so, I wrote many people who I thought were my friends, my associates there in 3HO and Sikh Dharma. And I wrote them and sent them copies of Dr. Shalochan Singh's book, and all of them rejected what he said. So I want to see if any of that has changed now, and I want to, like I said, bring other traditional Sikhs to help with the discussion. I think we should have some open discussions and make them available to everybody around the world so we can see what's going on. So just to show you a little bit of the layout here, I used to live up here, just about 100 yards from the what they call Yogi Bhajan's Dome. And like I said, I used to walk by it every day when I would go to the Gurdwara, which is over here. That's the Gurdwara there. So I used to walk there every day, and I used to walk by that dome. Like I said, I'm definitely angry that Yogi Bhajan carried on there like he did with these female staff members. It's just appalling. Anyway, so I would like to see all of this maybe just this turned into guest houses for people to come when all of this has changed to be follow true Sikh teachings. They need to take out the posters and images and photos of Yogi Bhajan out of the Gurdwara, and they need to take down these murtis of Siri Chand. There's a lot that needs to be changed. They've named this highway here, Highway 106, after Yogi Bhajan. They call it the Yogi Bhajan Memorial Highway. So I'd like to see that changed. I'm not sure what to, but at least just take the name down. And then, like I said, if there's enough interest, I'd like to see a Sikh mission maybe built on these two pieces of land that I have here on the highway. That would make a great, I think, kind of welcoming center, if you will, Sikh welcoming center. People that come visit this community can see what Sikhi is really about by visiting a new Sikh mission here. Now I want to point out a few other un-Sikh-like practices and things that why I think Yogi Bhajan was creating a tantric Shakti cult. These are paintings, drawings that he did back in the late 80s. He instructed me to go get some paints and canvases. I had a gallery at the time, and so he gave me these paintings. Now, to me, this drawing of Yogi Bhajan's really illustrates where Yogi Bhajan's character, his thinking was. He's clearly drawn a phallic or phallus, and he's written power here. He's put an image of a woman here in the center, and then he's written the word love here, love here, love here. He has a perverted character, I believe. After reading these accounts from some of these staff members, female staff members, it's really clear that he had delusions and sociopathic character. Pathological liar he was, and he may have even been a psychopath. So you can see this was done in 1989. Anyway, this speaks for itself, I think, showing where Yogi Bhajan was at psychologically. I think a lot comes out, pictures say 1,000 words. Well, I think this really tells it here. Here's another one of similar depiction of a phallus. A little smiley face down here. Just really sick. I just, really ashamed that I followed his teaching, but we all live and learn, and I didn't know better at the time, so I know better now. Here he's got a phallus, and he's got the word God written here. So he's clearly equivocating God with phalluses and all of this tantric nonsense. It's really what Dr. Trilochan Singh has observed back in 1970s, what Yogi Bhajan was all about. Now, this is a book, or not a book, it's a manuscript that was sent to me, and I won't read all the details here, but I'll leave time for you to read through these paragraphs that I've taken screenshots of. And this was evidently written by one of Yogi Bhajan's female staff members. And you can read it and take what you will from it. It was a real eye-opener for me. It seems very plausible to me. I talked to some of the people I know and trust who are around Yogi Bhajan, and they say that it is plausible. Yogi Bhajan did spend hours of his time in the same room, in that dome there, and other rooms where he was living, only with one female secretary at a time. So the accounts that this person gives, where she says that Yogi Bhajan was, that she was giving Yogi Bhajan a bath and dressing him when he was completely naked. I've confirmed this with other people, and so it's very plausible. And I think the details of her description are so they're so good. The descriptions are so accurate, if you will. The way things Yogi Bhajan would have said, And it would just be unlikely she would make it up. I just can't see the advantage to her or anybody else who gave these accounts, what the advantage is for telling these stories and just making them up. I just don't see the advantage to them. It doesn't make sense to me. So I believe what she's saying. And like I said, it's Yogi Bhajan did spend hours at a time alone with one of these female staff members at a time, both in Los Angeles and in Espanola. So it's all plausible in that regard. So that concludes what I have to say in this video. And like I said, I'll let you read through this. I'll allow time. You can stop the video if you need more time to read these screenshots from this manuscript. Thank you for your time. And I hope you all, or pray you all, will write the Akal Takht in Amritsar, the Supreme Sikh authority in Amritsar, and write them and encourage them to investigate this Yogi Bhajan organization. And they need to take decisive action, especially on this new resolution welcoming same-sex marriages in the 3HO Yogi Bhajan community. That needs to be dealt with decisively and quickly. Thank you for your time. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.